Hello, my name is Troy Adu here,
I'm Tyler Hoskins.
and you're listening to our Sick Ass podcast.
Kia ora, and welcome back to another guest episode of the Sick Ass podcast. Today's guest, I'm very, very lucky to have her in. She has actually had someone on the podcast before this, and that lovely young man managed to get her in, but I think you had a little bit of nerves before this, did you?
I did.
Yeah, but you're feeling okay now?
Yeah, I'm feeling good now. I just need a little bit of a warm up,
Yeah.
and we'll be on a roll.
That music gets you going, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. It's actually quite a tune.
Yeah, that's a tune and a half.
Yeah, I was having a boogie to it.
Yeah, we'll give you the full edition of that one sometime. But today's guest is Thirza Smith, and people might know her by her Instagram page. Are you on anywhere else outside of Instagram?
Not really. Yeah, the TikTok, but let's stick to Instagram.
Right, so Makeup
by Thirza.
So if you want to get out there and check her out before you go, I'm pretty sure most of the people who are listening to this right now, though, already know that is where you'll find her. It's really cool. I think what we got from a couple of the discussions before this is that everything that we see online of some person kind of seems to be the only thing that people know you for.
Yeah.
Have you found that since you've been, doing your stuff online and kind of growing that platform?
Yeah, absolutely. You sort of make an online presence, and that's all people know you for. If they're following you and they've never met you or heard of you before, that's all they see of you. And your life sort of is on display, but it's only what you choose to put on there, and you're not going to put on the bad days or whatever, which is it kind of sucks because people will think you're this amazing positive person all the time, and they're not going to see the downside of that. But on the other hand, it's really amazing. Like, I'll have young girls coming up to me and going, "Oh, like, you're the makeup girl," and that's so cool knowing that people can see my artistry that I'm putting out on Instagram, and they're really appreciating that, and it's actually making them happy.
Yeah.
I absolutely love that aspect of it.
Part of your stuff, though, when you're like putting content out, you're talking about the highlight reel that everyone gets to see of you. Do you find that you've tried to, because like people are very big into like people telling a little bit more of their stories and whatnot. So like I think the beauty of something like a podcast is that you can come on and do the long form.
It's so much more open than just posting a photo with a caption. This is a conversation. You're going to get all sides of everything. It's not just going to be the highlight reel that we all know on Instagram. But I feel like even with Instagram and other social media platforms, people are becoming a lot more open these days, which is amazing.
For sure.
And I feel like it all stemmed from like the health and fitness movement.
Yeah.
That took off so quickly. What was it, like two or 3 years ago?
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago, a couple years ago, where people were just a little bit more like comfortable with how they were feeling about their body.
Well, it was first like so idealistic about you've got to have the perfect body, you've got to be eating perfectly, and then all of a sudden people were like, no, actually not every day is perfect. You're going to have bad days. Sometimes I look like this, sometimes I look like this. And that's really like opened things up, which I think is really great.
That's really, really cool. So we'll get into the whole platform and how you built that platform soon. We're not going to get into like, I hashtag these, blah, blah, blah. But more just like, what got you into that. But before you even get into all of that, like there's probably a story to you that no one even knows. And obviously you don't have to tell us everything, but knowing you a little bit more is going to help people have an appreciation for when they deal with you and they get to talk to you and they're like, wow, that's because, this was part of her upbringing or all of those different things. And that's part of what makes you you. And that's why you react the way that you do, and why your humor is the way it is as well, because, that's all part of our upbringing. So just tell us a little bit of, where you grew up and the school that you went to, and then kind of some of the things, and then we can get into where you are now.
Cool. So I guess start from the beginning.
Right at the beginning.
So, clients these days, some people will just make passing comments like, "Oh, you must make so much money doing this." But for anyone who doesn't know, I'm a freelance makeup artist, and I think sort of telling the story from the start will help people to understand it's not about the money. It's about passion and doing something that you love and making people happy, which is probably the main one for me. So my family's from England. I grew up there for, I'm pretty sure it was about 5 years, and then we moved over here. So I've been in Dunedin ever since. Been to school here, at uni here, and completely different lifestyle to England. All of my family's still back over there, so we go and visit every couple of years. But New Zealand's definitely home for me.
Cool. And having grown up here and, you do have those visits back and forth, what are some of the things that you're starting to notice with your upbringing, being here in New Zealand versus some of the family that you have still back over in England?
Yeah, it's a crazy different lifestyle, and being able to go back and visit the grandparents, it's amazing. And like, who wouldn't want to go to London and travel around Europe and that sort of thing? But being over there and living, you have so much more of an appreciation for New Zealand. You really see that it's cool to be over there, but here we're so sheltered. We're so lucky to have such a community vibe along the whole country. And yeah, definitely just a huge appreciation for being able to grow up here and the opportunities that it's presented.
So you did all your schooling here in New Zealand?
Yeah, so Kaikorai Primary School just up the hill,
Yep.
And then went to Columba in year 7 to 13.
Right. And then going through your high school years, you know, that's a really transformative, because that's kind of where you start to get a little bit of, like, there's so many different things that go on. There's so many different stimulants of, like, this is what you could be doing, and you get so many different opportunities, like in the sporting realms, but then also social life starts to take off, and then you start to find what your passions are, what your hobbies are. How was that transition for you? So, because, yeah, I mean, from intermediate all the way through to those years, you can pretty much take a snapshot of each of the years and you'll just see like a massive difference between them.
Yeah, I was going to say such a huge difference in your personality, the things you're doing, the people you're hanging out with. It's such a transformative stage, which can be really scary and is really scary for so many teenagers. It's really hard to go through that. So school was a bit all over the place for me. And I guess it was a lot to do with sort of finding yourself, which everyone has to do at some point, but it can be really tricky. Sort of, there's so many doors opening and shutting all at the same time, and it can be hard to know which path to go down. But at school, I was always like super arty, which I guess is why I've sort of transitioned into doing makeup now. That's sort of fueled the passion for that. Love doing art, love doing graphic design, anything to do with that. And was just sort of naturally good at it, which is why I kept doing it. But at school, I sort of wanted to segue onto this when you're sort of going through that period. And I guess as a dude, you're not going to relate to this as much, but as a girl, your hormones are crazy. Like, you're having these intense mood swings, and that's definitely something that I was going through. But I guess I just wanted to talk about how your hormones are almost being manipulated by traditional Western healthcare, and people not really knowing the side effects and the concerns of that. So when you're going through high school as a girl, the contraceptive pill is sort of marketed to you as what you should be doing. I guess it's like the mainstream thing to go on to. And for me, going onto the pill was one of the worst things I probably could have done at that time. It changed who I was as a person. It made me so much more closed off at school. I'd say if I hadn't been on the pill, I would have been a completely different person, so much more positive and open to experiences. I would have taken so many more opportunities that came. I would be friends with so many more people from school now. So yeah, I guess just to say that there's so many more options out there, and so many of my younger clients that I'm talking to at the moment, they'll be going through that same period, 14, 15, 16 years old, and saying they're on the pill and it's not making them feel good. It's making them feel terrible about themselves. And there are so many more options out there, even though they're not sort of marketed to you at school. You really need to research what you're putting into your body and what would be working better for you if something's not making you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And just some of the things that you were keeping an eye out. So, I mean, it's obviously hard to see because now you're at the other end of it all and you can reflect on that. But what were some of the things now that if you were to go back and see the distinct changes, what are some of the things that people should be kind of looking out for?
I guess just hating everything. For me, I was super, super negative about literally everything, which is so sad looking back on. And I'm sure everyone from school can confirm that I was the negative one. I was known as the negative girl, which sucks. Like, no one wants to be that person. And last year I came off the pill, and ever since then, so it's been almost 12 months now, I've seen the hugest difference in my personality. I'm now probably known as the positive one amongst my friends. Just this complete personality change, and I think I really regret not noticing those signs earlier on at school and doing something about it.
Right. Have you had, like, was it mostly you who noticed those changes in you, or were there people who made the comment first that made you then start to notice that?
Well, I guess it was a case of everyone around me was like, yeah, like, you're an angsty teen, you're negative, something's not right here. But it was never considered that it had anything to do with the pill. It was just, this is how you are. Like, you're just going through puberty. You're an angry teenager. But I really think things could have been different if we'd sort of looked at all the possibilities.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you're just telling people to be a bit more aware, so when they're going through that thing, not to just fall for the first thing that's given to them, but like actually...
just for any young girls that are listening, like seriously, there are other options. You don't have to go on the pill just because it's what everyone else is doing. Talk to your doctor, talk to anyone you want about it. There's so much out there. And just like look after yourself, because hating on yourself through those teenage years is so toxic, and there's a lot of terrible things that it can lead to that can definitely be avoided or at least helped.
Yeah, for sure. And, so now, because you're probably dealing with quite a few people around that age, clients-wise, and you're talking to them, what are some things, so besides just them being a bit more aware, so say you were to go back and say you were kind of in a rough period like that, where you're just being negative and all that, what was it helping you get through those different stages, besides just like gritting your teeth and getting through it? Was there anything that you were doing to help you cope?
I would say... keeping yourself busy with physical activity, obviously releasing the endorphins, all that jazz. For sure. And finding, if you're a creative like me, finding your creative outlet. And for me, that was just art at school. Keeping yourself busy and doing things you enjoy. If you're not liking something, you don't have to do it. And school is not the be-all and end-all of life.
Sure.
Like, seriously, life really opens up for you once you leave school. There's so much more out there. And yeah, it's a great place to learn how to discipline yourself, how to manage a workload, how to make friends. If you're absolutely hating something, there's always ways around it, and there's always people there that really do want to help you. So make use of those resources.
100%. I remember when I was at school sometimes, like that was probably back in like the 60s, but most people like I definitely had friends who would force themselves through it because we thought that was the only thing that you could do.
Yeah.
And then once they found things that they were really, really passionate about, I was the same. We put in so much less effort, but we were getting bigger returns because we were actually doing things that were just like, I enjoy doing this.
Exactly.
And we were doing it just for the sake of, just because it fulfilled us in doing that. So I do agree with that. And you're so right. There are people who want you to do well.
Exactly. You can't see it at the time because you're hating on everything and you think everyone's out to get you. But yeah, seriously, there are some amazing people that will be around you no matter where you are, no matter what school you're at. You've just got to find them.
That's so cool, and I'm glad that you have a platform to be able to say that, and I'm glad that you're able to come on here and say those sorts of things, because there are so many different people who probably battle daily, and they think that all of the people who've made it, like say someone goes onto your Instagram, they just see like she's just got it so lucky. But you also had to go through stuff like this, and you had to find that the hard way sometimes, and then you also get the good that comes with that. So thank you so much for that. And you talked about finding things that you love, and you do have that art side of you. But was there anything else outside of your artistic side that helped you stay nice and motivated?
I did get into the sporty side of things for a bit. I have the worst coordination. You could throw 100 balls at me and I wouldn't catch a single one.
Alrighty.
I'm just gonna say I'm not sporty, I'm not fit, I'm not coordinated. But doing sport is so fun at school, whether it's social or competitive, getting into all different aspects of that. So I sort of tried out quite a few different ones. So volleyball, netball, the classics.
Yep.
Loved badminton for a while. Bit of a
good
weird
old badminton,
one. Yeah. But really got into cycling, which is probably more of a unique one.
Sure.
Both road cycling and track cycling. So we had a really, really good team going at one point. I'd say like 20 girls doing it. We'd go out for rides after school.
Yeah.
With the sunset in winter, just getting out and doing stuff like that, getting some fresh air is so much fun. And team bonding, sort of going through those team experiences sort of helps you grow as a person for sure. Yeah,
and I always find that ones that you can be outdoors doing as well. Like some people now, their sport is literally just going to the gym.
Just going to the gym, yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, we can talk about that another time because that one's just
that would be a podcast on its own, for sure.
Yeah, that's a little bit of it can be quite a negative place, and it's this place that we try to put forward as like very health promoting.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of...
It's really unhealthy for some people. Yeah. I went through that phase in high school. I was obsessed with the gym. Every day, sometimes twice a day, be going to the gym. And for what? To look a certain way? I was making myself miserable. Yeah, some people absolutely love the gym, but I'm glad I've figured out that I don't. I'd rather be outside doing sport.
Yeah.
And going to the gym for me wasn't enjoyable. I was just doing it to be perceived a certain way, I suppose.
Right. So
It's a tricky one.
couple grams and just look at me, I'm at the gym, I'm getting it in, hashtag, and
Just pretending I was fit when I wasn't.
and then shout out your favorite brand or whatever brand you're wearing, tag them in it, and just let them know, like, you want to sponsor me sometime? But anyway, outside of that, so going through school and then finding all of that sort of stuff. Now, what people probably think you kind of do because of your platform, in terms of your makeup stuff, they probably think you went through some sort of like beauty therapy sort of school.
Yeah, it's funny these days. Clients will assume that I'm studying beauty therapy.
Yeah.
Which is really funny because I'm almost studying the opposite. So my degree is Bachelor of Commerce, majoring in information science and management, like classic business management. And when I tell people that, they're astonished. It's just really like challenging the status quo of what you'd expect from a makeup artist, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
Sort of challenging those standards.
Yeah, but you're actually really, really good at what you do. Like your
Thanks.
study stuff. No, so your study stuff, you actually given like multiple opportunities because you also go out and go for those as well. Like you're not one of those people who just does the degree just to get the degree. Like you want something out of it, right?
I mean, there are a lot of people who will come to Otago Uni for the student life, the party life. Or just to get a degree. A lot of people will start studying when they have no idea what they're actually passionate about and what they want to do. And lucky for me, I'm a creative and an academic, so I'm able to sort of do both and do what I love in both, which is really cool. But yeah, I struggled with finding what I wanted to study, actually. I had no idea when I came to uni.
Right.
So what I did was I went to one of the course advisors at the uni, who was incredibly helpful, and she basically put me in a degree based on what I was studying at school.
Cool.
But in saying that, what you're doing at school is in no way for some people going to translate to your degree or whatever you go on to do after school. Obviously, it doesn't have to be uni. But she just put me in a random course basically, and I'm loving it. Like it's really great.
So that one that she put you in at the beginning has been the one that you've carried on through.
Yeah, and I know there's so many people that will sort of chop and change papers so much.
Yeah.
Have multiple degree changes all throughout, but I'm really lucky. Like I just sort of landed in the right one at the right time.
So you've enjoyed most of it, and you've been doing well because of that.
Yeah, it's definitely challenging. So information science, that's like coding related, I guess, computer systems, which I'd never thought I'd be doing. It's really challenging, but yeah, it's great. I feel like I thrive on challenges and having to push myself and really discipline myself with study. So yeah, it's great to be able to actually do that and enjoy it.
Are you looking for anything in particular in terms of where you go after you finish this sort of degree? Like, would you want to go into something? So obviously you have your side hustle when that's going, but would you want to go into like a career that comes out of your degree?
Yeah, I get asked this a lot, and I guess it's tough because a lot of people assume that makeup is my full-time job, and then they'll find out about the study, and it's like, what one do you actually want to do? And I guess that's sort of a crisis I'm having at the moment because I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I love both, and I would love to make the most of both, but it's not going to be able to happen concurrently. So would definitely love to go into the information science field at some point and find some sort of job there, but I don't know what that will look like. And the thing is, there's new jobs every day.
Oh yeah.
There's jobs being taken away every day.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but I would love to make the most of me studying and be able to pay off that student debt with a nice job in information science at some point.
For sure. And you get, by being in the circles of study, you get like the opportunity to get into internships and whatnot. And you've just currently gotten into one, right?
Yeah, which is so exciting. So I did the PSA for anyone doing Bachelor of Commerce at the moment. The Otago Business School does an amazing internship program, which I did and was lucky enough to get one of 3 internships at the end of it. So that means I'll be doing full-time work next year as part of my degree at Mercy Hospital. So yeah, it's going to be really strange taking a break from study after doing it for the past, I don't know how long you were at school for.
A while.
Yeah, over 10 years. So yeah, it's going to be a big change, and we'll have to take a step back from makeup, which is really sad for me because that's, it's built up so much over the past 2 years, and I'm obsessed with doing it at the moment. I can't get enough of it. But it's going to be amazing sort of taking my degree to the next level. And especially at the moment with the current climate and COVID and all that, it's a great time to be getting work experience.
That's extremely mature of you, like very, very mature
Thank
of you.
you.
Because a lot of people, I think, now that I'm at the end of my study and I'm kind of a very like specialized, but also I'm a general specialist, if that makes sense. So like I can do quite a few different things, but like we've got a lot of friends who they've specialized for so long, but now they're starting to see that like maybe they should have kept their options open. And by the sounds of it, like because you're aware of it, you're more likely to be open-minded to a bunch of different things that come up.
Definitely.
And I just had a question because you had two different things kind of going on at the same time. Do you think because they're almost at the polar opposites of the spectrum, that's why you've enjoyed having them run alongside each other?
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, being at school and always being creative and loving to do all the design and the art and all that sort of stuff, being at uni studying, you don't get to do creative stuff. It's basically reading PowerPoint slides all week and studying for tutorials, studying for quizzes, just being on the study grind basically. So being able to go home on the weekends and be able to do artistry, makeup artistry, like all weekend, every weekend is amazing for me. It's a creative outlet, and getting to meet so many people through that is just incredible. Yeah.
And when did you decide that going onto people's skin was that was the canvas for you?
I can give you the backstory for this one.
Yeah, go for it.
So how I got into actually becoming a makeup artist. So year 11 is a really exciting time for girls at school because it's like the time for your first formal, which is a huge deal. You've got to go and get your makeup done. You've got to go and get your hair done. It's so much fun. So my friends and I went to Estee Lauder. I don't know if you know that one. It's one of the beauty counters.
I'll just nod and be like, yep.
So we went to one of the beauty counters in Farmers to have a trial.
Oh no, I do know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. Just to see if we'd like how they did our makeup for the school formal. And we all hated it. So I, as the arty one, I was sort of automatically designated as the makeup artist for the friend group.
Right.
And straight from that first year 11 formal all the way through to the year 13 formals was doing makeup for myself and a couple friends. And throughout the years, friends of friends started asking, and then people that I didn't really know at all started asking. And that's when I made the page when I left school in year 13.
Right. So it was a very organic thing. It wasn't one day that you were just like, I'm going to start this. It's just that you built a client base of everyone who was close to you. Then other people started hearing about it outside of that. Wow.
Yeah. So I guess that's the thing with this sort of thing. Anything to do with social media, it has to be organic, right? You can't go onto social media and go, I'm going to make money from this. I'm going to work with this brand, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you can have goals, but you have to be doing it because you're passionate about it or it's something that you love.
Yeah. And you probably should have been done it like building it up for a while as well before you just like, so don't start the page and then start to build your craft from there. I mean, you guess you could do that in some instances, but you had like a few years under your belt before you started like,
let's be real, I was still terrible at makeup when I started the page, but I had the initial understanding of how to sort of book people in, how to work with clients. I'd gained that experience and the confidence that you need to be able to go up to someone and touch their face.
Yeah.
You're at such close proximity with people. You have to have those people skills already, even if they're not like super fine-tuned. You have to be able to make people feel comfortable in that space, which can be really tricky sometimes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I remember I used to cut the boys' hair. That's nothing compared to this, but like it was the same thing where
same sort of thing,
I could like do my own hair. And then they were just like, oh, could you do our hair as well? But then you're just like, what if I nick you? Like, I can't feel it on your skin.
It's different doing something on yourself compared to other people. You have to hold things differently. It's totally different. Like, how much is too much holding your face? Yeah.
And so over that time, so from you starting that to then, so that was more just like, okay, people will come to me, people probably messaging me, and then it's like, I know when you start anything and you start having more people wanting your services, it's like just a real horrible time with who have I replied to, blah, 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 blah. Like, how has your systems changed from the beginning to where it is now?
It overlap a lot for sure. And this is kind of cool with me studying information science. It's all about that sort of thing. How do you actually manage processes? And that goes into my management part of my degree as well, which is really cool because I can see it directly translate to makeup.
Yep, there we go.
Which is awesome. I don't think many people get to see that going through their degree.
For sure.
So initially it was just on Instagram, all through Instagram DM, and I mean, everyone loses a couple DMs here and there. It's not the best way to communicate, that's for sure. So it was only this year actually that I moved over to the Facebook booking system.
Right.
but I have to say it's trash.
Okay.
There's so many flaws with the system. It'll randomly like cancel people's appointments, but they haven't actually been cancelled, but they'll be sent a cancellation message.
Oh, wow.
Just random things like that. So it's definitely not the best, but it gives you your own calendar to keep all your bookings in. So every weekend I can go in and see like who I've got booked in, and I can sort of write them all out and write out all the details and that sort of thing. So it keeps everything in one place, which is good. Keeps all the messaging in one place.
For sure.
Yeah, it does a bare minimum.
Nice. And then from there, like you had to figure out how to do all like payments and all that sort of stuff. And another one that I don't think many people. So do you carry your own kit with you?
So freelancers can either be working from like their own studio sort of thing, or some of them are purely traveling.
Right.
So I like to do a bit of both. At the start, it was just working from my home studio. So people come to me, which makes life a lot easier because I can have my setup. I can have all my lighting set up. I can have all my brushes, all my products set out nicely. And that means I can fit in 3 or 4 more people a weekend.
Sure.
If you're all coming to me and you'll all be booked back to back, so it's a tight time schedule, but it means I can fit everyone in, which there's only so many prime times to get your makeup done throughout the day.
Right.
But recently started traveling for photo shoots, weddings, that sort of thing. So I'll pack up all my stuff, take it with me, set it up there, and then do a group. So I'll try to only travel for groups of say 5 or 6 people or more.
Right.
Because otherwise there's just no point packing everything up. It takes a good hour to pack everything up.
Man.
Yeah.
I mean, how's your energy through that? Because I know that even just dealing with people is quite tiring, but now you have to you're up early. I know that your first one sometimes is 5. Is 5?
Yeah, so the earliest booking I've had is 5.
And that could be a full day from that point, and that's a lot going on. How do you manage your energy?
Oh, it's a tricky one. I don't think I've mastered it yet, to be honest.
Right.
When I first started getting fully booked on Saturdays, it would be sort of 10 people in a row would be my maximum. And that's 10 hours straight.
Damn.
Back to back, no food, no water, no break, talking to people the whole time. And I don't think people consider this side of makeup artistry. Sometimes it's super chill and you're having a great time. Other times it's full on for that whole 10 hours. And it really takes a toll on you. I'd collapse into bed at the end of the day. I wouldn't have had anything to eat or drink all day. And it would feel like a hangover the next day. And you've got to take a whole 24 hours to sort of replenish your body.
Yeah.
But these days I try to give myself like a 15-minute break here and there.
Yeah.
Make sure I've got froze balls are really good, the little froze balls. Chuck one of those in the mouth between clients. And drinking water is so important.
For sure.
Yeah, staying hydrated.
So that's so many things going on. But like I said before, even the social side. But now you have to actually come in to hone your craft as well. Like you're on someone's face, and they're probably going to get so many photos done as well. And that's kind of like your art. Like it's almost like my tattoo artist. Like they put it on me, but
it has to be perfection. Yeah, absolutely.
So how much pressure? How much? Well, what has happened? So when you first started working with people to where you are now, and the kind of not really pressure, but kind of pressure because these are people going to big events sometimes.
Yeah, people are being photographed, they want their makeup to be perfect. And yeah, this is something I wanted to touch on. I think it's really important as a makeup artist, especially if you're referring to yourself as professional or even anything close to that. Obviously people are going to come to you for your style. And every makeup artist is going to have their individual style like any other kind of artist, and people will come to you for that, but you need to have the ability and want to be able to cater your skills and your techniques and your application to whatever the client's asking for.
Yeah.
Because it's them getting their makeup done to feel good about themselves. It's no longer you just putting your art on someone's face to promote your art. It's you trying to empower people and make them feel good about themselves. So a lot of what you'll see sometimes is makeup artists just sort of slapping on the same look on every face.
Right.
You have to be able to cater it. People have different eye shapes, different face shapes, different colour preferences, different undertones, different skin tones. You have to be willing to educate yourself on that sort of thing.
Damn. Yeah, so much more that goes into it. And,
exactly.
And because the individual is always going to be, everyone is so different and how they react to different things. And it's really hard to tell someone that, say they've been working on your face for so long, or say you get a haircut and it's really hard to tell that person that, I don't actually like this.
Exactly.
This isn't what I wanted.
Yeah, that's something I really pride myself on. So throughout the whole thing, people will be saying, oh, like, what color are we doing now? Because I don't have a mirror in front of my clients. They can't see what I'm doing until I show them the finished product. So it's like a big reveal at the end, which is fun. But they'll see me sort of dipping into an eyeshadow color and going, oh, what color's that? What color's that? And I'll just keep reiterating the whole time, like, if you don't like something, please let me know, and I'm more than happy to change it, because we're doing this for you. Like, I'm doing what you've asked for, but if you don't like anything, let me know, and I'm more than happy to switch it up. And I can tell when people aren't super happy with something, which thankfully isn't very often these days. But yeah, making people feel comfortable enough to let me know if there's something they want changed or altered or added or something to get rid of. Yeah, you've really got to focus on making people feel comfortable in your space.
It's such a mature way to go about it. Like, there are a lot of people who, you know, if you don't like it, it's because something's wrong with you.
Yeah.
It's not because I'm doing anything wrong, because I'm good, this is my thing, and like, you came to me.
I used to be like that. I was terrible at taking any sort of feedback, but I've sort of grown to appreciate constructive criticism over time, and especially with working on people's faces and getting the feedback from them that they love it, or there's something that they want changed. You're never going to please everybody completely. 'Cause some people will come to you not knowing a single thing about makeup, and they'll show you this crazy look that they want, and you'll do it and they'll hate it. But that's just because they've never had makeup on before, that sort of thing. But you really just have to focus on doing the best you can to provide what they're asking for without sort of going off on any creative tangents of your own.
Sure.
And I've found, just a tip for all the makeup artists out there, is always go slightly lighter than the colours they're asking for. Well, back in the day when I started, people would come to me with a photo of like a super intense smoky look, and I'd do it. I'd use the black eyeshadow, blah, 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 and at the end I'd show them and they go, this is too dark. Just a tip, that probably the best tip I can give, it's always easier to go darker at the end rather than try to make it lighter.
Wow. Okay, thanks for the tip.
Yeah.
I'll definitely keep that
welcome.
one in mind as well. So, I mean, when it comes to this, I mean, it sounds like anything else you're going to be doing, right? You kind of have to do more study than just the day that people come to you. Like, you have to, like, or do you just practice on yourself, or how?
Yeah.
So, say you see like a new look coming in, and you want to try to incorporate it because you're like, that could work on this person.
Yeah, I mean, it's like anything. There's always trends in every industry, right? And makeup's pretty big on the trends, which is super fun to sort of change things up every now and again. Practicing on myself is something that I really got into at the end of last year, sort of over summer. So filming tutorials, that sort of thing, just practicing, just trying to upskill as much as possible. And it's tricky practicing on myself because it is different. I'll take 4 hours to do my makeup because I'm so pedantic. I'll sit there and try to get every little detail perfect, and I can't do that with clients. So what I realized is I need to be practicing on other people, which is super cool. So I get a couple models in every now and again to practice on them. Which is just a great way to meet people, actually, because they're usually not my previous clients. They're other people that I'll get to come in. So I get to meet them, create some really cool artistic looks on them purely for upskilling and trying to use new techniques, new products, anything I can do to sort of translate that experience over to make it better for my clients.
And do you find that, like, have you ever done it where, I mean, because there's like, there could be a show or something that you do, because like with a podcast, we're literally just sitting here and talking.
Yeah.
But I have the equipment here. But you're probably doing that like back to back, hours and hours and hours. Like, some people probably just want to talk to you all the time. And have you always been someone who's really easily like sociable with people?
No, so you probably are getting the vibe that I'm an extrovert, which I am not.
Right.
I'm an incredibly introverted person, and always have been. So I need my alone time.
For sure.
But I'd say working with clients all weekend, every weekend, has given me the ability to pretend that I'm an extrovert, essentially. Right. So I can chat for days, basically. And that's just come through being with people and chatting with people all Saturday for 10 hours in a row, like I said before. Some people will sit there and they'll want to chat the whole time, which is cool. I'm more than happy to chat with people. And then you'll get people that don't want to say a word the whole time. They'll just want to sort of have a nap in front of you while you do their makeup, essentially. But learning to work with different personality types and people with completely different opinions to mine has been really tricky, for sure. It's definitely been a learning experience, but it's been something that has helped me to grow as a person, and it's given me social skills that I never really thought I needed.
100%, yeah, because you're talking all the time, or not even talking, but like there might be something about their mannerisms that you pick up, and they're not saying anything, but you're just like, okay, they're either uncomfortable right now, like what can I do to help them out of that situation?
You sort of learn how to comfort and make different personality types feel at ease, and that's definitely different for each person. Some people will love it when you're super bubbly and you're super chatty the whole time. Other people will feel more confident if you're just quiet and you do their job, basically.
And going through that, so like I know you probably have never counted, or there might have been a time where you did count, but how many people, to be fair, since you've started getting really, really good and have your efficient systems, how many people do you reckon you've actually had go through your chair?
I was thinking about this the other day, and I'm terrible at math. Let's say an average of 16 people a week.
Sure.
Over 2 years.
Right.
Was when I made the page.
Wow.
Yeah.
Per week?
Per week.
And that's mostly just on the weekends?
Yeah, so it's Fridays, Saturdays are usually fully booked, definitely Saturdays, but Fridays, depends whether there's 21st or events, school balls, that sort of thing. But then there's months like December, so graduation, I'm working Mondays, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays. And my biggest day coming up in December on the 19th for graduation, I think there's something else on as well, maybe like a school leaving dinner or something like that.
Right.
12-hour day starting at 5 a.m, finishing at 5 p.m.
Because it's one of those things where you can have a really, really good service, but if people oh, I hate that girl, like she was really, really mean.
Yeah.
I look good, thank you, but she was
no,
horrible.
People aren't going to come back. There's always another makeup artist you can go to if someone's being rude to you. And that's the thing. Sometimes I'm having an awful day and I won't want my clients to come because I know I'm in a bad mood and I don't want to talk to people. But there's no way I'm going to sit there and make someone feel uncomfortable in my studio while I'm trying to give them the best experience possible. You want it to be super positive, and it's really cool that I get to be a part of people's milestones.
Milestones, there we go.
Life milestones, like 21st and graduation, that sort of thing. I'm a part of that big day, and I don't want to be a negative part of that big day.
Sure.
Yeah,
like you want them to feel like when this day started, like we went there, we went here, and then it was great. We've started the celebrations with Thirza there, and then we went on to the next one, and
it's amazing. And that's part of why I love doing the big transformation at the end, not having a mirror in front of them the whole time, just showing them a look in the mirror at the end and going, "What do you think?" And 99% of the time they'll be going, "Oh my gosh, like I feel so good about myself. I look amazing."
Yeah,
and knowing that people can come in feeling self-conscious about themselves and leave feeling absolutely incredible is just the most rewarding thing.
That's so cool. That is so cool.
Yeah,
and now,
it's unreal.
The way that you talk about it, though, it makes me feel like, now correct me if I'm wrong, but it makes me feel like this might have been something at some stage in your life that you had been dealing with as well. Like, how is it that I feel about myself, and then what is it that I have to do to like make myself feel better? Is it that you need, am I getting at something there?
There's always people that will feel more comfortable with makeup on, right? And I think, a lot of girls go through that stage, and I probably did as well, but there was always that artistic side of it for me.
Sure.
I feel like a lot of girls will be able to relate to this one, having your eyebrows on. A lot of us can't leave the house without putting our eyebrows on. We feel so much better about ourselves if we just put on the eyebrow powder or whatever it is, curl your lashes. Everyone's got that one thing that just makes them feel better, look good, feel good, right? But with people coming in, you have to come to your makeup appointment with everything removed, no makeup on.
Sure.
Which makes sense. But some people will come in and they'll go, "Oh, sorry about my skin," and their insecurities will sort of show throughout the appointment. And you'll get to show them that final product at the end, and it's still them because you're enhancing their features. You're not trying to make them look like someone they're not or try to cover them up in any way.
Yeah.
As a makeup artist, it's your job to enhance their features and make them feel good about themselves, rather than sort of give them a mask to wear, basically. And just the positivity that comes from that and the reviews that come out of that is amazing.
That's a really cool way of thinking of it. Like, you're there to bring out what's already like so beautiful.
Bring out the best in
themselves.
people. Yeah. You don't want them to be feeling like they're having to hide behind the makeup. You want it to be like it's accentuating the beautiful features that you already have.
Man,
It gets deep, right?
Yeah, it really does. Because these are things. It's just like me in the exercise game where people come to me because they don't like how they feel in their body and they don't like how they look, and I'm just like, well, how are your relationships with different people? And they're just like, oh, they're getting better. And I'm just like, that stuff's way more important than how you look.
I know.
It's how you are as a person and
how you feel. Yeah.
And if we can make those things even better, like that's all I'm here to do.
Yeah.
I'm just here to help facilitate you feel better.
Exactly.
About that. And that's really, really cool.
And feeling better and getting fitter and that sort of thing. Your body changing will be a byproduct of that, but it shouldn't be at the forefront of what you're doing.
Sure.
You should be sort of challenging yourself as a person and building on the positivity that you already have in your life. And those relationships, so important.
That's so cool. And so just going beyond and going outside, so making yourself the model now. Like, so the last time we met up, you were talking about doing some like modeling stuff and people were taking photos of you and when you have to switch out of the chair, so like you're the person who's putting the stuff on the person in the chair, but then when you become the person in the chair, how do you fare on that side of it all?
Well, in terms of getting my makeup done, I've only had it done once and it was a super quick job.
Right.
Yeah, I've had it done a couple times, and just because I'm such a perfectionist and I know exactly how I like my makeup now because I spend hours obsessing over it, I never like it when other people do it, which kind of sucks because I'd love to go and get it done. It's so relaxing to be able to sit there and just have someone like tickling brushes over your face, and then you leave looking amazing. I've sort of trained Ollie up to do my makeup a little bit.
There we go.
He's actually really good at it. He's done my base before. I think it was when I'd had a full day of clients, and he came over and we were sort of getting ready to go out. I was like, I'm really tired. Can you do my makeup? And he did half of it for me, and it was great.
Oh, that a boy.
So I'll trust Ollie to do it, no one else.
That's cool. And then so outside of that as well, when you're preparing for other things, like how often would you get like modeling sort of things to do?
Such a weird one to talk about for me. I'm in no way a model, and I will never ever claim to be a model. I'm lanky and uncoordinated, and I've got no clue what I'm doing. I don't know which direction to look in. Like I've got no clue what I'm doing. But I've somehow been roped into a couple of things through friends that do modelling. And then also this year, having some really cool opportunities, making friends with photographers and videographers, and they're sort of wanting to grow their portfolios. Shout out to Jay and Nico, like incredibly talented people that are wanting to work with me and my sort of workspace as well with makeup. So it's sort of just this collaborative content creation, portfolio building thing, which just leads to even more relationships, more opportunities, more experiences, just life. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing that it's all stemmed from me doing makeup as well.
100%, yeah. And it's probably also part of that, you are aware of the opportunities that are coming out now. Like, because you're so positive about everything and because you want things to happen now, you're taking them when they come up. You're going for it. And so, I mean, back to the skills as a human, but then also, so do you see a lot of crossover from when you're, say, at a job or something, or say, like all of your different interactions with different humans? Are you starting to see those skills that you've built from like different areas that you've been in transfer? Does that make sense?
I think with my internship interview that I did to land the internship for next year, I still get super anxious about that sort of thing, but I don't think there's any way I would have got the internship if it wasn't for what I've been doing with makeup artistry over the past 2 years.
Sure.
It's developed me as a person so much, and the way that you approach questions, the way that you sort of respond to people. I'd say before doing makeup, I was a very closed answer person. So you'd ask me a question now and I'd go, yep, or no. And there'd be nothing else. But now it's like I want to start these conversations with people. I want to build relationships. I want to move forward rather than just sort of meeting someone and leaving it there.
Do you find that the deeper relation, like now because you're starting to mature into it and the relationship that you're having, do you find like I'm trying to explain it. So I remember when I used to talk with people before I got into the podcast, it used to be really draining because I was just like this is just, okay, we're talking. But now, when I get into a conversation like this, I actually get energized from it, if that makes sense.
Exactly. It's having the conversations where you're sort of educating yourself and mixing it in with what you're passionate about. Just talking about things that really inspire you and meeting cool people and then meeting people from that person. It's I feel like it's just sort of expanding your social web or whatever you want to call it. It brings so many opportunities, and especially with makeup, like you never know what connection someone's going to have. It's always who you know, not what you know, I reckon.
It is true, and then when you do meet the right person, you have to be the right person to fit that spot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's so much to do with integrity, especially with social media. You can't be putting out this fake personality. It's integrity. I guess that's like probably my biggest value these days.
Sure.
You have to be yourself and be unapologetically yourself and just own it. You can't be caring what other people think because that's just going to drain you.
Yeah. And with the following that you do have, do you find that there are people who are appreciative of that sort of aspect of yourself?
Yeah, I hope so.
Like people notice that in you? Or?
I really hope so. Like I'm not on there going, oh, I'm a makeup artist, I'm famous, I get to do stuff with farmers, blah blah blah. I'm using that platform to educate people, and I've got a bit of feedback about this, which is really cool. That people who are studying beauty therapy at the moment, they're being taught the things I'm teaching on my Instagram, which is so satisfying for me to know that I am actually going about it the right way. And if I'm able to do these things, why not educate others? Why not help others to learn? There's so many girls out there wanting to learn how to do their own makeup. So that's why I've started offering one-to-one lessons. Like right before I came here to do the podcast, I filmed a tutorial for IGTV. I'm going to edit that this week and hopefully have it up. So teaching, I absolutely love teaching.
Yeah, that's okay. So let's just switch real quick into that, because I find that's always been one of my philosophies in life, is that yes, I can have all the knowledge, but my goal from that point is to like, how do I spread this to as many people as possible? Because it's not fun being the only one who can do it.
That's the thing. You can work your way to the top and have all this amazing knowledge, but like, what fun is it if you can't share it with people?
Yeah.
And help others? You get so much joy from actually helping people. It's like gift giving, right? You'd rather give gifts than receive gifts because of that internal feeling you get where you've made someone happy.
Yeah.
Nothing beats that.
Yeah.
So I did my first one-to-one lesson last week, which was just so much fun. I've always loved teaching, but I've never really explored that side of things like on a personal level. So doing a one-to-one lesson, actually being able to explain all the wee tips and tricks to people and being able to answer questions and give active feedback was so great. And I did 2 lessons last week, and both girls walked away really feeling that they'd actually learned something.
That's so cool.
And feeling way more confident doing their own makeup, which for some people can be like a huge step in life.
And do you also feel that when you're doing that, you start to notice how much you really do know?
Yeah.
Because you're just like, you just do things and you forget that not everyone knows that you're doing it. And they're like, wait, what did you do? And you're like, oh. And you have to go back 5 steps before you get into it.
When I'm just doing clients, I'm just doing the same routine, right? I've got so used to doing the crazy cut creases or the smoky eye. I just know what products to apply and what order. But when you're actually explaining that to someone, you're explaining every little step, and then they'll ask a question like, oh, why do you use that brush that way? And you go, oh, actually there is a reason behind that.
Yeah.
And everything sort of has its place. Like it's definitely artistry, which I think is so cool.
Yeah, and now going into teaching, so sometimes I know when we started this podcast, sometimes when I'd be teaching or lecturing, there were times where I was just like, why me?
Yeah.
Have you had that
Impostor Syndrome.
Yeah, have you had that happen to you?
I was actually talking to my boss about it. I get huge imposter syndrome and just really anxious about things that I'm even 0.5% unsure about.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that, but it's I don't really know if I have any great tips for sort of managing that, to be honest, because I'm still working on that.
Sure.
Coming here, I'm like having imposter syndrome. I'm like, why me? No one cares about me. Like, you've just got to keep telling yourself that if something's making you happy, like just do it. If something's challenging you and you don't think you can do it, you probably can. Reach out for help.
Yeah.
There's always going to be those people.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where you don't have to be the best at what you do, but you have to do the best that you can do, and that's all you can do, right?
Exactly. That's what as a makeup artist, there's always so many amazing artists that you're looking up to, and you're trying to take inspiration from them. But yeah, it's a case of comparing yourself, which no one should do, but we all do it every day. Yeah, it's a tricky one.
But you've also been given opportunity. So something that you touched on before, you did talk about farmers, and that was where, so I was like going through and having a little look, and I was just like, wow, that's pretty cool that like you've got your own little page, but then people are starting to like take things that you're doing or showcase you elsewhere. So can we just quickly touch on how that came about and what the contract kind of involves?
Definitely. So with farmers, I'm sort of contracted to promote their new releases,
right?
Which is so fun. So they'll send me the new releases on a bi-monthly schedule. And I basically get to share with my audience on the page what my favorites are. So it's amazing. I've got 2 months to try them out, see what I love, see what's new on the market, which is unreal. And then getting to actually show people how I use them, why I love them. And I put up a poll on my stories a couple of weeks ago asking, have you ever bought a product or tried something out because of my recommendation?
Right.
And it was 200 people voted yes. And I think that even if one person was trying out a new product and loving it because of what I'd recommended, that's amazing. I can make those recommendations and people trust them. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It just means that you have some sort of influence, right? Without calling you an influencer.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But you do have some, there are people who are out there listening to what you say.
Yeah, it's just cool that people trust your opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, because if anyone's been working with the stuff as long as you have, then I'm guessing you kind of know what you're talking about slightly.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
Maybe just put this one on and have you.
Yeah, just slap it on. I've got no idea what's going on really.
No, but I think that's really, really cool that you can have that sort of effect on people. And something that happened with this podcast, and we've spoken about it before, but there are people out there who I don't know who listen to it and will see me in the street and yell out sick ass.
Crazy.
And I'm just like, what the? Huh? How did that happen?
It's a weird feeling.
Yeah, and that's all I want is if it was one person who listened and said, I took something away from that, it makes it all worth it.
Exactly, and then it's just going to be a snowball effect from there anyway. They're going to sort of pass that on to someone else and someone else, and it's just going to keep impacting people's lives in a good way, hopefully.
Yeah. Have you noticed that? So just one more question there before the last couple, but have you noticed that most of the people you sit down with will say, you did my friend or you did my cousin?
Yeah, especially recently, which is cool with all the graduation bookings coming in. It'll be usually people a couple months ago would just start off the message with, hi, do you have any available times on this date? Whereas these days it's, hi, my friend recommended you.
Right.
Or it's, hi, this makeup artist recommended you, which is just incredible for me to know that there are other professional, trained makeup artists out there recommending me because they appreciate my work and think that I do a good job.
That's really, really cool.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
And then, now it's being able to take that compliment, right? You need to be able to be yes, okay, that's nice to me, rather than being why did they recommend me?
Yeah, that's the thing. Sometimes it'll be why me? And other times it's let's go.
Good. That's so cool.
It's hard to take a compliment sometimes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes people will just be saying there and just be like, hey, I like your shoes. And you just
so awkward.
just go real red and just I don't know what I'm doing here. Jump out the window and see, I'm out of here. That was so cool. And so we always have one final question just as we're starting to wrap everything up.
Cool.
But your one question is, it's actually going to be quite interesting for a lot of people because you study, you also have to run all of this sort of thing, and you're pretty much trying to stay in tune with everything that's happening, different trends that are happening through the makeup stuff, but then also you have to keep up with your study because the area that you're in with your study is always transforming,
always
all the time.
changing. Yeah,
so
crazy.
You can never be at a point where you're just I'm chill, I've got it all, I've learned it, because you always need to keep.
You're always going to be learning. Yeah,
so you're always upskilling, but part of that you need to keep yourself safe so that you can actually be in the best position to learn all those. So one thing we ask all of the guests who come on is just, what is one thing that you do close to every day or maybe daily that is a routine or some sort of ritual that you go through that makes you feel like you have optimized your day?
I'm terrible with this sort of thing. I wish I could say I get up at 6 a.m. and do yoga.
Yeah. Or maybe close to daily. Doesn't have to be every single day, but there's something that you feel every time you do it, you're just I'm glad I did that.
I think I would have to say sort of happens maybe twice a week, reflecting on what you've done recently that's made you proud of yourself, and making sure you share that with the people you're close to, whether it's telling a story or, just sort of taking pride in your accomplishments, even if you haven't accomplished anything crazy, because no one's going to be doing that every couple days. It's just a case of I was really positive today, even though something bad happened. Or I was really friendly to this person, even though I was having a bad day. Just sort of reflecting on the fact that you are doing your best as a person and sort of spreading, as cheesy as it sounds, spreading as much positivity as possible, because we're all people here. We all have feelings. We all have good days. We all have bad days. Why not do our best to sort of make life a little bit easier for all of us?
Sure. And as part of that, and trying to spread some sort of positivity, have you noticed if other people say something about you that you'll try to, like something good, sorry, that you'll try to take that on board? Or
yeah, I think instead of going, oh no, that's not true, they're probably just saying that, going, okay, that's great that I'm actually being viewed as this positive person in people's lives. I'll try to keep working on that and keep being even better.
Yeah, and you'll return it as well. Like if you see someone do something cool, you like tell them about it, right?
Yeah, I think especially in the makeup artist community, especially in Dunedin, you really have to be supportive of people.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be people that will, steal your ideas or copy something and not give credit. And it's always like you've just got to take it as a compliment and keep complimenting them.
Wow, that's so mature of you.
Yeah,
Good
it's
on you.
been a tricky one to learn that.
Okay, right. So it has taken
We're
some time.
getting there.
Yeah. It's so cool. Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've been trying to do recently, besides like being grateful for things, is I've been really trying to tell my friends I love them. Like way more, just trying to make that normal. Just like I love you, I'll do anything for you.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
We're here for each other type thing. Yeah,
you really have to open up the fact that you do care about the people around you, even though different people have different ways of expressing it. You have to keep reminding people of that, because sometimes they'll have a bad day and they haven't heard from you in a couple of days and they're just going to forget. You've got to keep reminding people that you're there for them, and then that's going to come back around for you too.
Absolutely. Thirza, thank you so much for all of your positivity, all of the energy, and all of you. I mean, I know before this you were really, really nervous to have come and like, well, I've got things to say, but I don't know if it's the right thing. But like, I think just you coming on and being you was the best way that we could have gone about this. And you've gone through and you've just really showed that you're a person behind everything that you do.
Yeah.
And you're a human, and you're still exploring that side of yourself, of being that human and going through that journey. So thank you so much for coming on, and I appreciate everything that you had to give. I definitely have to revisit a lot of the things that I do, and I'm old. I was back in the war, type thing. But like,
I wasn't even born back then.
but we all go through these things, and whether you're a makeup artist, whether you're studying, or whether you're just trying to do the best that you can do, everything that you said, we just take whatever it is you're doing, whatever your action, and just replace it with whatever your trade is.
We're all people. We're all trying to be better versions of ourselves every day, and we just need to make sure that we're not putting ourselves above other people. We're all the same here. Let's be nice to everybody. Yeah.
Very good last words. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I hope everyone enjoys that.